So, my name is Zezima. I have had type 1 diabetes since I was 3. And the thing about that is I've never introduced myself before as a type 1 diabetic. I usually introduce myself as a personal trainer, as a bodybuilder, as a business owner, as a school psychologist, as a number of different things. But I've never actually said, my name is Zezima and I am a type 1 diabetic. I was talking with one of my clients about this the other day, and it's not because I am holding it a secret, it's not because I'm scared of it, but it's because it does not define who I am. Diabetes does not define who I am. I have found numerous different ways to make it part of my life, and I work around it. It's part of my life as if asthma is part of somebody else's life, as if your car breaks down, you make it part of your life, you move on. You find ways to deal with it and you go. So it's not that I am a diabetic, but I have diabetes. I own it. It's mine. And I can do whatever I want with it. When I was first diagnosed when I was 3, my mom first said to me, well, she didn't say to me, but she instilled in herself that she did not want diabetes to take over my life. Diabetes was still going to be part of me, but I'm going to do anything that I can. Anything that I want, anything that I can, and it's going to be mine. When I was in 2nd grade, I was too young to be on a track team, so I ran with my older brother, who was 2 years older than me. And I practiced with his team, practiced with all the boys, and I was always faster than them, I was always better than them. And I had to learn at a young age that I had to monitor my blood sugars so that I wasn't that kid on the sidelines, on the bench, with my blood sugar low, because then I wasn't going to run. And I didn't want to be different. I wasn't going to be that kid sitting on the side with my blood sugars low, not being able to participate. So at a young age, you learn to be a lot more mature. You learn what your body feels like when it's going to get low. You learn to prepare for your lows. If you don't prepare to succeed, you're planning to fail. So, 2nd grade, I learned that. You have to prepare for every circumstance that you're going to be in, because it is what you make it. And that's the way that you push your limits to the bar. You set the bar for yourself. Nobody can say, oh, you're diabetic, you can't run, you can't do that, oh, you're going to be low. You can do it for yourself, and it'll happen. Along my journey, I would turn to friends, doctors, you go research problems that you've been having, and you might not find the exact answer that you're looking for because your body is different. Everybody's body functions in a different way. When I get nervous about something, my blood sugar drops. For some people, theirs goes through the roof. So when I was first presented with the idea of being up here on stage, one of the first things I thought about was, oh my God, what if I get low in front of all these people? I'm going to get low at a diabetic expo giving a presentation. But who cares? Because that's part of me. That's part of me, and I'm going to own it. If I get low, I get low. If I stand up here and I start mumbling a little bit, everybody's going to understand, and it's going to be okay. You live on. You prepare to succeed. You prepare to succeed. You make every day count, make every day better than the last, and you find what motivates you. I was a sprinter for a big part of my life. I went on to college, and I was a collegiate athlete, and then I went on to get my school psychology degree, my master's, and I became a personal trainer. I ran a 5K, I ran a half marathon, then I ran a full marathon, and then I became a bodybuilder. Along the way, you find different ways that it impacts you, and you hit speed bump after speed bump after speed bump. But eventually, you find what works for you. Along my journey, there are many different quotes and inspirational things that helped me, and I'm going to share those with you today. So this first one, the greatest fear in the world is the opinions of others. The moment you are unafraid of the crowd, you are no longer a sheep. You become a lion. A great roar arises in your heart, the roar of freedom. The point from that is that people judge you. People judge you no matter who you are, what you have, what your life is like. People judge you and you have to deal with it. There are stigmas about people who are diabetic. There are stigmas that we cannot be as good of athletes. We cannot be elite athletes. We cannot go to school and take tests the same as every other kid. We cannot eat the same as every other kid. We have to have the nurse at all of our school functions. And we can't live normally like the everyday person. Those are the judgments of other people. And it's your decision to make it part of that stigma or to step outside of that box and be whoever you want to be. That's your decision. Are you going to step in the box and be a diabetic? Or are you going to take it out of the box, have diabetes, and be who you are? That's your choice. When I was in 5th grade and we were at snack time, this girl, Kelly, sat at my table and I was having one of those protein brownies and she says to me, "You can't have a brownie, you're diabetic, you can't have a brownie." And I'm like, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? Who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? And I decided I didn't want to be friends with Kelly anymore. I went home that night and Kelly's mom called my mom and she's like, "Amanda needs to apologize to Kelly." And I'm like, "I'm not apologizing to Kelly. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not apologizing to Kelly, but I'm not. Because I'm going to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and you're not going to sit there and judge me, because I will show you different." So from that day forward, I learned that people are going to judge you, and it's your decision what they're going to judge you about. So don't compare yourself to the other people, okay? In 5th grade, that's when I started to stop telling people I was diabetic because I didn't want to be in the box of being diabetic. I hated people coming up to me, "Amanda, go test your blood sugars. Amanda, we need to eat. Amanda, do you feel okay? Amanda, are you tired? Do you have a headache?" No, I'm just, I get tired, you get tired. It's just part of our bodies. I'm diabetic, it's part of who I am, and I can manage it and it's okay. So you learn at a young age to manage it, live with it, and you move on just like the everyday person. You move on. I didn't want to be good for a diabetic. I didn't want to be an athlete that was, "Oh, she's good for a diabetic." No, I wanted to be good for the everyday person. I want to be compared to the everyday person. I don't want to be smart for a diabetic. I don't want to be strong for a diabetic. I wanted to be smart and strong compared to everybody else in the world. So, when I went and started being a personal trainer, there's a lot of different kinds of athletes in there. You have marathon runners, you have bodybuilders, swimmers, dancers, anything. And you start seeing how different people push their bodies, and they're like, "Oh, you ran your whole life. You could do a marathon, can't you?" And I'm like, "I can't do a marathon. You're kidding? That's 26.2 miles that I'm running the entire time. I'm gonna get low. I'm gonna get low." Well, yeah. You are gonna get low, and you have to figure out how you're gonna plan for getting low. That's part of it. That's part of it. If you start to believe what other people say about you, then you're gonna start acting like it. You're gonna start acting like it. So you have to make a decision for who you're gonna be as a person, and you have to believe in it. If you don't believe in it, then it doesn't make a difference. You make the opinion and the judgment of yourself. Nobody else can do that but you. They're going to think about you in ways, but you have to think about yourself in a different way. I started to believe that I couldn't do it. And then you sit and you're like, why? Why can't I do it? Because it's harder? I have to try a little bit harder? I have to learn more about my body? So what? So what? It made me a lot more self-aware. I have to self-monitor. You learn so much about yourself by pushing yourself, raising the bar every day. Okay, I did a 5K, no problem, good. What can we do next? Let's shoot for a half marathon. Well, hey, we're already halfway there, so why not go for a full marathon? So then I did. I didn't like the marathon. but I did it. It was good. Along the journey, you have to dig down deep and figure out why you're doing what you're doing. And I made a whole entire list of the things that pushed me to do what I was doing. And it sits on my cupboard, and it's taped up there right now to this very day. It's been sitting there for almost a year. About, I am doing this because blank, 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 blank. Because you're going to go back and you're going to have to read those. You're going to have to read those because you're going to go look for help, and you're not going to find it in the way you're looking for it. You have to look for it within yourself. Your mind is your biggest power. And strength comes from overcoming those fears. And then you're empowered. You're empowered and you're making yourself. Find what works for you and take control. Take control. Also going back to being part of being mature quicker. I was in junior high, just being a kid, laughing, being weird, and my mom drops me off at school, and she screams out the window, "Amanda, are you high?" I'm like, oh my god, I'm just being weird, my blood sugar might be high, maybe, I don't know, but the rest of the school is like, Amanda's taking drugs, you know? And you just have to think about, you know, what's going on in your everyday life. You think about how to monitor what's going on, and you move on. Move on. Trial and error. Trial and error sucks. You learn the bad parts, you get over it, you learn something new the next day, and you keep moving forward. You keep moving forward. You find what works for yourself, and everything's going to be different from your body to somebody else's. When I was doing my first bodybuilding competition, part of the diet is to eat a lot of proteins, a lot of vegetables, and as you get closer and closer to a bodybuilding competition, you cut back on your fats. You cut back on your fats because your fats have the highest calories. There are 9 calories in 1 gram of fats. So they're like, okay, we'll just take away your fats. Took away my fats. I ended up in bed crying for days because I felt like crap. And you're like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? I call my mom, I'm like, Mom, I don't feel good. My blood sugars are all out of control. I don't know what's going on. She's like, well, you took out your fats. I'm like, well, yeah, because they're high calories. Fats stabilize blood sugars, Amanda. Fats stabilize blood sugars. And I started eating all the fats, healthy fats. And I started my own business because of that. And I'm over at a booth over there. Check me out later. But anyways, you figure out what works for you. That's what I had to figure out for myself. A bodybuilding diet, a regular bodybuilding diet, does not work for everybody. That does not work for me. I need Amanda Zezima's diet. Amanda Zezima's diet's high fats. Love them. Next. There we go. Don't let your mind bully your body. Don't let your mind bully your body. Your mind is the greatest power that you have. The greatest power that you have. Diabetes is an easy excuse to not do things. It's an easy excuse. Oh, I don't want to try, I don't want to go to the gym, I don't want to run, I'm going to get low. It's an easy excuse. It's your decision whether you make it an excuse or not. It's not anybody else's. I had an insulin pump. I was one of the first kids on Long Island to have an insulin pump, so they weren't as good as they are now, and I had the ones that had the wire. The wire would get kinked, and it wouldn't tell you until your head is in a toilet bowl throwing up because your blood sugars are too high. Does anybody remember that? I do, yeah. My mom does. Well, the thing about that is that it would happen overnight. You'd be in the morning throwing up, and I would go to school late. I hate the mornings. I still hate the mornings. We're not friends. We're never gonna be friends, morning. I'm sorry. But the story about that is that I would use that as an excuse to go to school late. Mom, I lied a few times. I would write her a note and I'd say, Mom, my blood sugar is high, threw up at night, I'm not going to school. And she would call the school and tell them that I was going to be late. And I'm like, yeah, gold diabetes, go. That's bad. That's bad. Don't use it as an excuse. Don't use it as an excuse. Your mind is the most empowering thing you have. Do you let your mind bully your body? where will you end up? Negativity can drive you in so many disgusting ways. Positivity can bring you in enormous ways. Enormous ways. It's your choice to let it inhibit you or to build you up. That's your choice. So where do you want to go with your life is your decision. Your decision. Sometimes you just don't feel like dealing with diabetes. Sometimes you just don't feel like dealing with it. When I was younger, maybe like elementary, junior high age, you're like, I'm done. I'm done, diabetes. You can hit the road. I'm done with you. I'm done. I would have crying fits as a kid, like, why is this happening to me? Why? What did I do wrong that I have diabetes? What did I do wrong? The only thing that would make me feel better was my mind. I would tell myself that the world would not put you into a situation that you cannot handle. The world would not put you in a situation that you cannot handle. I was given diabetes. Other people were given other things. I would not be here on this stage right now telling you people that your mind is powerful if it wasn't for diabetes. It's an easy excuse to not push yourself. You're only limited by what you tell yourself. During my first bodybuilding competition, they did a documentary on some of the competitors and their journey. This was one of the first times that I came out and told the world that I have diabetes. And they taped kind of my journey and how I felt about it. And then they played it at my show. So while I'm standing there, all these people that I see every single day have no idea that I have diabetes, because I want to be compared to the everyday person. I don't want to be compared to a diabetic. I want to be compared to the everyday person. So they made a whole video about it, and I'm going to share that with you right now. Can you play the video for me? Thank you. Oh, yeah. I like training with boys. I'm very selective about what boys I train with, though. Mostly because a lot of guys are, they're gonna be gentleman-like, be like, oh, I'll get that for you, or oh, you can't lift that heavy, or like, you're a girl, you can't lift as heavy as me, or do as much as me, but I can. And I don't think that they like that either, though. They have a girl showing them up in the gym. There's times where clients will sit down and talk to me and they just start like crying about their problems. They look at me and they go, you have this perfect body, you work out, all you do is eat right, like what problems do you have? You're 24, look at you. And I'm just like you just don't know what's going on in other people's lives. I had this disease, chronic disease that takes over my entire life, but I can still do what you do, and I can probably still do it better. Like with lifting, like I'm a girl and I lift a lot heavier than the average girl, and people see that. I think that you don't always know what you're capable of until you go do it, because people can always say, oh yeah, I can do that, and then you can't. Or you just don't know what it takes to do it. So, I know, it's such a roller coaster. Yep, go ahead. Yes, that's on YouTube. It's called Zezima. One of the few. One of the few. So, the reason why it's also one of the few is because they're only 2% of the entire population are bodybuilders. 2% of the population are bodybuilders. Now, what percentage of that are diabetics? 0.0 blah blah blah. I don't know. But I didn't want to be in the box of diabetic. I'm going to be in the box of all the other world, of the rest of the people in the entire world. And I want to be part of that 2%. Despite that I have diabetes. I'm going to find a way to make it work. And the last sentence in that is one of my favorite. You never know what you're capable of until you go put yourself in that position. You don't know what you're capable of. You have no idea. Are you gonna move on? It's your choice. It's a choice. If you want to do something, you will. And that's what it comes down to. You could use it as an excuse. It could be a problem. You could also be a problem solver and find something else to hate. Like, I hate the mornings. I hate the mornings. The mornings is my excuse. Mornings is my excuse, not because I'm diabetic. Because I'm gonna own diabetes. Diabetes is part of me. I'm gonna problem solve how to make it work. So this last one is part of acceptance. Now, then, she began to breathe and live. And every moment took her to a place where goodbyes were hard to come by. She was in love, but not in love with something or someone. She was in love with her life. And for the first time in a long time, everything was inspiring. You set yourself free. If you stand in the box of being diabetic, you will remain in there. If you step outside of there, let your mind wander and conquer whatever you want to, you will. And you will inspire yourself. You will inspire yourself. You are the greatest power that you have ever. Ever. Push your limits, raise the bar, be better than anybody ever said that you could be. I would not be a single thing that I am today if it weren't for having diabetes. I wouldn't be anything. I probably wouldn't have gotten into track. I wouldn't be a problem solver. I wouldn't have been competitive. I wouldn't have wanted to be better than everybody else. I probably would have just been average, just here and having a grand old time. But I own it. It's mine, and I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna go with it, and I'm gonna push it to the highest power that I can. You don't worry about what's ahead. You take the tools that you have and you work with it, you deal with it, and you move on. You have the tools. You have the tools to achieve, conquer, succeed, and you have to find what those tools are within you, because you have them, but you need to pull them out. You need to pull them out. The only way you pull them out is by putting yourself into situations that are scary, that are fearful, that to the average person are hard. To the average person are hard. Bodybuilders, 2% of the population. Why? Because it's hard. Because it's hard. And I'm still gonna do things that are hard, even though I have diabetes. I'm still gonna do things that are hard. Still going to, and I always will. Thank you. You will too. You will too. You're all gonna go out of here and go run marathons now. Just bring some glucose tablets. You'll be okay. So, I just want to end with that I don't define diabetes, and it doesn't define who I am. It is what you make it. It is what you make it. You could read all the books, all of the cautions, all of the do not do these because you're diabetic. You could listen to them, you could. Part of living, part of experiencing, part of succeeding, part of conquering is breaking some of those rules. You have to break some of the rules. You have to. It's not gonna stop me from doing anything. Why? Because they have to set the rules to the person to make sure everybody doesn't get hurt. Make sure everybody doesn't get hurt. So that bar is lowered this low, so nobody that has diabetes gets hurt. Nobody. If you have done your homework, if you have figured out your body, if you prepare to succeed, your bar is up here. Your bar is up there, because they have to make sure the rules are for the person that doesn't. They have to make sure the rules are for the person that doesn't. I do. I don't care about the rules. I don't care about the rules. Scuba diving. You go on vacation, you can't go scuba diving. You have diabetes. What if you get low and you're 30 feet below air? You go straight up, your ears are gonna pop and you're never gonna be able to hear again, right? Because you're low and you have to take something. I've gone scuba diving twice. I've signed that waiver telling them that I'm not diabetic. I mean, I'm not telling you to go do that. I'm telling you to go plan to succeed doing that. Plan to succeed doing it. I'm not scared. I'm not going to be scared to do something that I want to do. I'm going to plan to succeed doing it. I'm going to plan to succeed doing it. So if that means test my blood sugars every 10 minutes for the few hours beforehand, I'm going to do it. That means eating something before I go, I'm going to do it. That means bringing something on the boat in case, I'm going to do it. I'm going to plan. You need to plan. You don't plan to succeed, you're planning to fail. Don't plan to fail. Don't let it take over your life. Be who you are, do the things you want to do, figure out what works for you, and it will come. It will come to you easily. Easily. There are speed bumps along the way. That is normal. There are speed bumps along the way, and that is normal. The everyday person has a speed bump too. It's just not as prominent as yours. Because the world has told you that yours is a lot more difficult to deal with. The world has told you that. Who are you going to listen to? Yourself? Who knows you better than you? I know me better than anybody. Tell me I can't do something. I dare you. Tell me I can't do something. Because like in that video, I will do it better than you thought I could. I will do it better. I will do it better. It might take me a little bit longer. It's going to be a bit harder, but I'm still going to do it. And then you're going to say, wow, that's awesome. Not because I'm diabetic, but because I'm a normal, everyday person, and I have to deal with normal, everyday problems as well as having diabetes. So those normal, everyday problems are conquered easily because you are way more distracted by taking care of yourself in a different way. Does that make sense? So I go scuba diving because I want to, not because I'm scared of water, scared of fish, scared of sharks, any of that. I'm going to do it because I want to, and my problem is that I have to make sure that I prepare to succeed. So diabetes is what you make it. Don't stand in the box. Be outside of the box. Do not limit yourself because your mind is the most powerful thing that you have. Don't let your mind bully your body. Keep moving forward. Push yourself every day to be the best person you can. Mentally, healthy, physically, the best person that you can be. Every day, every day, every day. You find something that works and you move forward. You find something that works, you move forward. You eventually get to a spot where you know how you feel, how to handle, how to prepare, how to succeed in every situation. Every situation. And then you're set free. Don't be stuck. Stay where you are. Move forward. And that's what I want to end with. So thank you everybody for coming and listening. If you have questions, I have time for questions. I'm also at booth number 429. I sell my almond butters. There's no salts, no sugars, added proteins for awesomeness, and they taste delicious. But does anybody have any questions? No questions.
I'm to be the moderator for this, so let's have some questions. And we want to definitely say how inspired we are. Thank you. But questions now.
I've been bodybuilding, what's today? March. I started February of last year, so not that long ago. I've always been into health and fitness just because I know that I have to be healthy to live my life. So this was the next step up of how to do it more, and because I was a personal trainer, I'm always around people lifting, I'm always around people that are bodybuilders, and it was one of those other things like, oh, you can't do this, and I'm like, well, I can, and I'm gonna do it. So February was when I started training. My first show was in May. My next one after that was in October, and the next one that I'm gonna do is in July. What's that? I am on Instagram through my business, so that's ZEZ, NUTZEZ. That's not up there. NUTZEZ. That's through my business on Instagram, and I have really awesome things on there. Right there. So right above my head, ZEZ. I'm a little bit more tan in that picture, I know. Yep, she asked if I was into fitness before I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed when I was 3. So diabetes is the only thing I really know. And I think my mom got me into running and fitness and dance. to live a healthy lifestyle because exercise is an important part of keeping blood sugars stable, and then I enjoyed it. And I'm a middle child, so I'm competitive too. So I always want to be the best, and I stuck with it. I was naturally good. Yeah. What else? Questions? Yep. Oh yes.
When you were diagnosed initially, because you were 3 years old, how did your parents recognize your hypoglycemia?
That's a great question. It's going to be an embarrassing answer, but whatever, I don't care, because I don't care about other people's opinions. So, when I was 3, I was really good about not peeing the bed, and I always trained very well to go use the toilet, and I was peeing the bed all the time. So that was my mom's first indication of something was wrong. And I was very cranky, just like irritable. My body hurt, and I'm naturally not a complainer, and she knew that when I was 3. So she's like, something's wrong with Amanda, something's wrong with her. And that's when we first. I have a younger brother too, and he was 1. And so my mom brought me to the doctor, and the doctor said to her that, oh, she's just jealous of the new baby. She's just jealous. She's fine. She's fine. And then down the road, things just got progressively worse and worse. And then they found out that I was diabetic. So good question. Thank you. What else? I know we have more questions. Yes, when I was 3. I was little. Yeah, no. Yep. It's the only thing I know. So I have a lot of experience. Question?
So, when you ran the marathon, how often did you eat? Because you're running, so it's kind of hard to check your sugars.
That's a great question. When you go into a marathon, or you just start running for a long time, or you even just start going back into exercise, your body has to change and adapt. So if you go from not running at all to just going out there, you're going to get low within 2 miles. But then keep on practicing, keep on doing it, your body eventually adjusts, and instead of pushing out the glycogen that it stores up, it eventually knows what you're doing, and it knows it has to keep it. So my body naturally knows to keep it and not to just let it go as soon as I start running. So that's my non-scientific way of saying that your body eventually adjusts to what you're doing. So I've just recently started running again, and about a month ago I ran 4 miles, and it took me like over an hour to do because my blood sugar kept dropping, and it kept dropping, and it kept dropping. And I'm like, I know it's going to be okay because I've done this many times. And right now I'm at the stage where I can run 10 miles and not get low. You eventually start finding what mileage you have to be okay for. Yeah, like when I was running the marathon, I didn't get low a single time. And the reason that I didn't was because I knew exactly which mile I was going to start dropping, and then I would just take a glucose tablet, take one of those goo packs. Anybody see those goo packs? They're just their energy and their sugar, and so I knew what miles to take those at, and to prevent my lows, to prevent them, because it's going to happen to the everyday average person who doesn't have diabetes. They need to eat along the way also, because their body works the same way. Their glycogen goes out. If they don't eat anything during the entire marathon, they will pass out. So they have a similar problem, but you just have to be a little bit more cautious about it and prepare for it. So they have these spy belts. That's what they're called, spy belts, and they're the most comfortable things to wear when you run. I stuff that thing like it's luggage. And I have all sorts of bars and food and all that kind of stuff in there. As the first thing that I noticed about getting low, the first reaction that you have, I take something. So that helps me, it bumps me up a little bit, it doesn't keep me high, and I'm good to go until I start feeling it a little bit. Like, as soon as in my head, as it says, that little voice is like, Amanda, you might be low. If I might be, I'm just gonna take something, because I'm running 26 miles, so I'm gonna burn it off and be okay. Another part of that is healthy fats, so that's why I started my almond butter business. Healthy fats stabilize your blood sugars, so that's why they say eat peanut butter and like stuff like that. I got into almonds because almonds are a much healthier nut. There's a lot more vitamins, a lot more antioxidants, good for cholesterol, all that kind of stuff. So pairing your foods right helps before and after. So like a banana with almond butter, something like that, so you get that quick sugar, and then also the fats that will keep it stable. Answer your question? Awesome. Yes.
So basically, like the starting point, let's say if you want to keep your sugar at like 500 and then start running, someone that's like not a bodybuilder like you, how would they know what's a good starting point before they start physical exercise?
500, like your blood sugar is 500? Okay, don't want your blood sugar 500. We know that. So, I always try to keep my blood sugars around like 120. So as soon as I notice it higher than 200, and I am exercising, I'll keep going because it will lower. Can you ask your question again?
What I meant was, like, so you trained your body that it doesn't go low right away. It takes a lot. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so you work your way up. So like anybody else when they exercise, they go through a progressive program. You don't just start lifting really heavy, you don't just start going for really long runs and really long swims or anything like that. They work themselves up just like anybody else. So we need to do the same things. Your body is going to adjust in a different way than theirs, and you just have to be able to self-monitor where you're at in a different way. Does that make sense? So it will adjust and it will get there. So don't just go run 10 miles and be like, oh, Amanda said it was okay.
Hi, I've had the same problems too. So my endocrinologist says that you should start exercising until you're around if you're lower than 180, you should start exercising. You should be a little higher than when you exercise right now.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because you want to start at a point where you're okay. Like if your blood sugar is too high and you're starting, you're going to be a lot more dehydrated, and it's going to make your run harder or your exercise harder. Your muscles are going to get tighter, and it's going to be harder to do because your blood sugar is higher. Around 180 is really a good place to start. That's also for you. You know, that's for you. And I know for myself, like I'll start at 180 and that's fine. And I know it will come down. It naturally will come down just from doing exercise. And just being able to see what is impacting it and what it feels like to get low, then you can stop that point of where you're going to get your lowest. Does that make sense? Yes.
If you're somebody who's running around 120, can you, and you want to start an exercise plan, so obviously you can't start at 180 because you're not there, what do you do?
Yeah, I wouldn't say eat something to get higher to be 180. I'm not going to say to do that. You're going to have to find how it's okay with you. Starting with like I will exercise at 120. I will exercise if I'm 90. You just have to know what your limits are, but the only way you know what your limits are is by doing it. So start at 120, see how long it takes for your body to react to the exercise, write down what you ate, and then you try it again tomorrow. That's what I would do when I started doing all of it. Like, I would write down what times I got low, what body part I was working out, what I ate when I did it. And I learned for myself that if I start when I'm 120, I'll drop within like 20 minutes. So is it really worth doing a 20-minute workout if I'm going to get low within 20 minutes? So a healthy fat is a great way to do it. It's low carb, low sugar, but the fats will keep you where you are for a longer period of time without letting you drop. So you'll stay pretty much where you are. Does that make sense? So I found that diet helps a lot with that piece. So you don't want to eat something to get up high. You want to stay where you are. Okay?
So as far as like anaerobic exercise versus aerobic exercise,